Earlier this week, I called out Jen Psaki for staying on as White House press secretary after she's reportedly agreed to a deal to go to MSNBC. I think it's a conflict of interest, or at least the perception of one, for her to stay on. Well, as it turns out, there's another group of people who have an issue with Psaki's likely jump to MSNBC. NBC News journalists, yes, folks who work for the company. An article published by CNN Wednesday said that NBC News staffers were irate over Psaki's pending hire at MSNBC, where she'll reportedly host a show for the Peacock streaming service. Journalists were said to be upset with the idea of Psaki being brought on board at MSNBC because they feel the network has, quote, leaned into shows that prioritize commentary and perspective. NBC News President Noah Oppenheim had to hold an impromptu staff call last Friday to explain the move and quell some of the anger. The report said Oppenheim tried to draw a distinction between NBC News and MSNBC, arguing that the far-left opinion programming on MSNBC, I don't think he called it that, but I will, does not in any way taint the NBC News brand. Now, what media planet are these people living on? The idea that NBC News is somehow a vastly different operation than MSNBC is ridiculous. Chuck Todd, Andrea Mitchell, Hallie Jackson, three of the most recognizable faces on NBC News, all host shows on MSNBC every single weekday. And there are plenty of other top hosts and NBC News correspondents who spend plenty of time on network NBC and MSNBC. The line between these two isn't just blurry, it doesn't exist. And apparently, that's a problem all of a sudden? My question to them is, where have you been? You're only now objecting to the content on MSNBC? MSNBC is the home of far-left hosts like Joy Reid, Tiffany Cross, Mehdi Hassan, Reverend Al Sharpton, and on and on. With that lineup, it boggles the mind that Jen Psaki is the hire that the journalists at NBC think is going to stain MSNBC, or NBC News is too opinionated or too liberal. My guess is that when she joins the network, Jen Psaki's going to host one of MSNBC's more moderate programs. She probably won't crack the top 5, maybe even the top 10 of the most liberal hosts on the network. So the pearl clutching inside NBC News just feels so disingenuous. Now, in light of this report of friction, it's worth noting that the conference call between the NBC News president and NBC's Washington reporters and journalists took place last Friday morning, because that now provides some new context to this tense exchange later that day during the White House press briefing between Psaki and NBC's Kristen Welker.
Jen, given the reports, which have now been confirmed by multiple media outlets, how can you continue to be an effective briefer if you do, in fact, have plans to join a media outlet?
Well, I have nothing, again, to announce about any conversations or any future plans. I would say, Kristen, that, again, I have taken the ethics, legal requirements to the highest, very seriously in any discussions and any considerations about any future employment, just as any White House official would. And I have taken steps beyond that to ensure there's no conflicts.
And I understand what you're saying, but I guess the question is, how is it ethical to have these conversations with media outlets while you continue to have a job standing behind that podium?
Well, there are a range of stringent ethical and legal requirements that are imposed on everybody in this administration and many administrations past about any conversations you're having with future employers. That is true of any industry you're working in, and I have abided by those and tried to take steps to go beyond that as well.
Right. So it's interesting to look back at that in light of those objecting to Psaki's hire inside NBC. Look, I think it's a conflict for Psaki to stay on. But maybe Kristen Welker and others fear that it forces MSNBC and NBC News to come clean about who they are, how they're perceived, what they do. Every bit of far-left content that appears on MSNBC, every all Republicans are white supremacist monologue, every defund the police for real take, every white people don't understand the Will Smith slap commentary, it all belongs to NBC News and its journalists. They can't escape it. And for those sanctimonious ones making Jen Psaki their Waterloo, they ought to take a much closer look at what's on MSNBC the rest of the day. Joining me now is Judy Kurtz. She writes the In the Know column for The Hill, covering all things media and Washington. Judy, thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. Does this make any sense to you that hiring Jen Psaki was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back for NBC's journalistic integrity?
Dan, I hear you, but I think there's a special ick factor here for a lot of the NBC News journalists, just because of the kind of embarrassing nature of the timing of all this, of it leaking early while Jen Psaki is still at the White House briefing room podium. But look, you're absolutely right. I mean, NBC and MSNBC have long been a pipeline for Democratic presidential administration top aides, press secretaries. They might need a plumber to make the pipeline a little bigger at this point. As you mentioned, Hallie, Robert Gibbs and Ben Rhodes were hired by them. So this is nothing new to have a Jen Psaki hire. And the idea that there's somehow this separation between NBC News and MSNBC is frankly laughable. I mean, to have Chuck Todd, very fine journalist, also hosts a show on MSNBC. Have Andrea Mitchell, another very fine journalist, also hosts a show on MSNBC. To see them in some sort of cathedral where they're untouchable and not tainted by the opinion side is just not how the average viewer is going to see it.
Right, and I guess that's my point, right? It seems that the questions in the press conference were about the issue I'm concerned about, right? Is this idea that Jen Psaki is remaining the press secretary, yet she's got to deal with MSNBC. That seems to me to be an overt conflict. But the NBC journalists seem to be concerned about tainting the brand, right? This idea that, we're doing more opinion programming. I have no problem with Democratic press secretaries going to MSNBC, Republican ones going to Fox News. That happens all the time. It just seems that there's a level of dishonesty here where, or at least being disingenuous to suggest that, up to now, we've been viewed as straight down the middle, and now we're hiring Jen Psaki, and people are going to think, whoa, maybe they're left-leaning.
Yeah, it does seem to be a case of selective outrage at this point. But I think, again, the timing of all this is what has really irked some inside NBC News. And for it to come out while she's still standing up there at the White House is frankly pretty awkward for them. I think this is like a food fight at the dinner table, the family dinner table. I think there's some stuff being thrown, some sloppy joes being thrown. I think they will be able to clean it up, though.
Well, but I wonder, when MSNBC recently brought in Simone Sanders, right, the former spokesperson for Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, that made perfect sense, right? That's where she would go. She would go to MSNBC. Where was the outrage? I mean, it's just bizarre to me that suddenly they're outraged. Suddenly it's a problem. I think that it just shows you, in my view, that a lot of people at NBC are living in a bubble where they don't recognize what the perception is from the public at large of how MSNBC does what it does.
That's absolutely right. There seems to be an inside the Beltway bubble. And I think, look, it's absolutely fine to have opinionated hosts, but don't try to pretend that's a completely separate side of what you do on the journalism side.
Yep, I support them having opinionated hosts. Just own it. Just admit who you are and what you do. That's the only issue, as far as I'm concerned. But it seems like there's some level of denial. Judy Kurtz, thank you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Dan.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.